day. My name is Ole Tambogazi, a second-year student studying Bachelor of Education. So, today we focus on the subject geography, mainly on the topic weather and climate, including vegetation. Climate is what you expect, weather is what you get. So today we dive into weather and climate. I hope today you learn something. After this, we're going to see a video made by an AI tool called Lumen 5. I hope this video will spark your curiosity in terms of what we will learn today.
Welcome to South Africa, a land of many climates and landscapes. From the green forests to the dry deserts, every region is different. It all begins with the weather. Rain, wind, and sunshine shape the land every day. When it rains, plants grow, providing food, shelter, and life for animals and people. The warm sun helps plants make their own food and keeps our climate balanced. But when there's little rain and too much heat, the land becomes dry and plants struggle to grow. Climate, weather, and vegetation are all connected. We can't study one without the other. Let's explore how South Africa's different regions show this powerful connection. Welcome to South Africa.
But before we begin the lesson, you can pause this video and answer this question with your peers. Number one, let's think. What would happen to trees if there was no rain for a long period of time? Number two, what would happen to the plants near our school if it stopped raining for a whole year? As I said, you can pause this video and answer with your peers. This question can take 30 to 1 minute to answer it. But before we begin the lesson, of course there are keywords from today's lesson that we need to understand before we carry on. So, we need to understand these terms, which is climate. What is climate? Climate is the general weather over a long period of time. This can include rainfall, temperature, snow, or any other weather condition. For example, in Durban, we experience a climate that is very humid, which means it's hot with moist air. And weather. Weather is how the atmosphere is behaving on a day-to-day basis, including temperature, rain, and wind. These can change hour by hour, day by day. The weather affects everyday life. For example, today in Durban, we're experiencing a temperature of 23 degrees with partly cloudy clouds and 50% of precipitation. And moving on to vegetation. Vegetation is a plant life which can vary from unexplored tropical forest to the cultivated plants of a farm or garden. But the most important thing is that these three cannot be studied in isolation. Let's find out why. Climate, weather, and vegetation are all closely connected parts of the natural environment. They influence each other all the time, which means we cannot study one without understanding others. Let's imagine there's less rain because of climate change. That means the soil gets drier, plants don't grow well, animals have less food. So if the climate or weather changes, the vegetation changes too. Climate influences weather and vegetation. So climate describes the long-term weather patterns of an area, for example, whether it is mostly hot or cold, wet or dry. These long-term conditions affect what kind of plants can grow there. So for example, here in KwaZulu-Natal, we experience a humid climate, and we are mostly known, in South Africa, we are mostly known for growing sugarcane. And if we could experience a very cold climate that could affect our vegetation like sugarcane, because we are mostly known for sugarcane because of our climate. So, moving on to our biomes. In South Africa, we have 7 biomes, but today we focus mainly on 5 biomes, starting with the Fynbos biome located in Western Cape. The Western Cape biome experiences Mediterranean, which is hot, dry summers and cool, wet winters. And the weather is summer droughts, occasional winter storms. Their vegetation is shrubs, proteas, and restules that can survive dry summers. The hot, dry weather limits tree growth, but winter rains allows unique plant species to thrive. So for this weather condition, this biome is very, very hot. So proteas and restules store water in their leaves, so therefore they can survive in these hot summer droughts. We then move on. Oh, this is how the fynbos biome looks like. As you can see, that the proteas, the shrubs and restules that I have mentioned. Moving on to the second biome, which is the savanna biome, located in Mpumalanga and part of Limpopo. We have the climate, which is warm to hot all year with summer rainfall. The weather is summer thunderstorms, dry winters. And we have tall grasses, scattered trees like acacia and baobab. The link is that the alternating wet and dry season creates open grasslands and droughts resistant trees. So this biome experiences warm to hot all year with summer rainfall. Therefore, only tall grasses and scattered trees like acacia and baobab can grow there. And this is how the savanna biome looks like. As you can see, it does look dry because they experience warm to hot air all year. Moving on to the third biome, which is the Karoo biome, located in the Northern Cape. The Northern Cape experiences very dry with low rainfall and high temperatures, frequent droughts and large day-night temperature changes, small shrubs and succulents that store water. So this biome is also the same as the fynbos biome, whereby the plants are able to store water in their leaves because they experience very high temperatures, therefore the plants can survive. And this is how the Karoo biome looks like. As you can see, it looks very dry, and you can see that very little vegetation can grow here. Moving on to the grassland biome, which is located in the Free State. We experience cold winters, warm summers with moderate rainfall. We experience frost in winter, thunderstorms in summer, and mainly grasses, ideal for grazing animals. Rain in summer supports grass growth, cold winters limit tree growth. So this biome specifically experiences cold winters and warm summers. So only certain things can grow there, but not many things like vegetation. So it is mostly dominating in grasses, and the grass is ideal for grazing animals. And this is how the grassland biome looks like. Moving on to the last and final biome, which is the forest biome in KwaZulu-Natal. And in this climate, we experience warm and wet all year round. The weather is frequent rainfall and high humidity. As I did state in my video in the beginning, that in KwaZulu-Natal, we experience a very humid climate. Therefore, dense forest with tall trees and rich plant life. As I did say again, that we dominate in sugarcane. The consistent rainfalls allow trees and thick vegetation to flourish. And this is how the forest biome in KwaZulu-Natal looks like. So this is the map of South Africa's biomes. As I did mention that in South Africa we have 7 biomes, but today we focused on mainly 5. So you can use this and identify the biomes that we have learned today, and you can locate them on the map and label them. So let's revisit the lesson before we end. How does climate affect vegetation? What happens when vegetation changes? Does it affect the weather? How are the weather, climate, and vegetation where you live? You can also pause this video and take your time to answer with your peers. This question may take 2 to 3 minutes to answer. So, if weather tells us what's happening today, climate tells us what usually happens every year. And vegetation shows us what kinds of plants grow because of the weather. Weather affects plants and plants help control the climate. So they can never be studied on their own. They work together to keep our environment in balance. But before we end the lesson, let's remember what we have learned. Climate is the usual...
What?
Climate shifts the weather. So if the
Kijk
weather...
een wit.
Before we end the lesson, let's remember what we have learned. Climate is the usual pattern of weather in a place. Weather changes from day to day. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it's sunny. Vegetation means the plants that grow in that area. These three are all connected. Climate shapes the weather. So, if weather tells us what's happening today, climate tells us what usually happens every year, and vegetation shows us what kinds of plants grow because of that weather. Weather affects plants, and plants help control the climate. So, they can never be studied on their own. They work together to keep our environment in balance. I hope you really enjoyed today's lesson, and during your exam times, you are going to go back to this video and find it educational again for you to revise or for you to remember what you have learned. My name is Oleta Mbogazi, a second-year student studying Bachelor of Education. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.